I wonder what's bubbling in Chef Archie Pie's hot pot today. It's a wonderful winter warming beef and Borlotti bean stew. Let's get cracking, shall we?
Hello everybody, making a beautiful hot stew today. And with the stew, it means lots of chopping vegetables. And obviously the onion's got to be going there, a nice medium diced onion. Just one large medium diced onion. And what is a stew without leeks? I think certain vegetables in stews are very, very important, and leeks would be one of those. And the second one would be celery. So in goes some beautiful celery, once again a medium dice. I always think a medium dice would be, I don't know, a postage stamp size. Don't forget we've got carrots as well. Carrots offer sweetness and beautiful colour too. And obviously the wonderful nutritional advantage of carrots is beta carotene. And I've got some swede rutabaga as well. That's going to go in as well. Some medium dice once again. I'm putting a few mushrooms in because I like a few mushrooms in a stew. Not going crazy on mushrooms though. And I'm also throwing half a dozen cloves of garlic in. We are making a large quantity of stew. So all the ingredients and measurements will be in the description below. I've got a teaspoon of fresh, finely chopped rosemary. You can substitute this with mixed herbs, dried mixed herbs if you prefer. And we are putting in some potato dice as well. This is a gluten-free stew, by the way. We're not thickening it with flour, we're thickening it with mashed potato, but we're also putting diced potato in the stew too. So here's the wok. And in the wok I've got some pork fat, in go the leeks and onions, followed by the swede, rutabaga, carrot and celery. If you don't have pork fat, you can use butter or even beef fat. I'm going to stir fry the vegetables over a medium heat for about 10 to 15 minutes. They won't cook, but they'll be half cooked. And they'll change colour, they'll change appearance, and they will also change in volume because they will shrink quite a lot. And once we've given them 15 minutes, we're then going to pop, I will pop a lid on. You can just reserve them, put them to one side. If you don't have a lid for your wok, just cover them with something else. And I'm going to, in my crock pot, I'm going to put another big chunk of pork fat with my wonderful 90-10 ground beef. In goes a lovely sprig of thyme and some chopped rosemary, some chives, dried chives, some bay leaves and my garlic. And I'm going to cook my ground beef and the herbs and spices, herbs and garlic rather, now until it's completely dry and completely cooked and it starts to brown. We want to start to get that lovely crusty brown bit on the casserole pot. You can see the colour of the meat is influencing the surface of the casserole pot. It's at that point that we're ready. The meat is now ready for the vegetables to be added. So take all those vegetables that we've half cooked and throw them in. I've got a 5-quart casserole pot here, by the way. I'm going to mix all these wonderful ingredients together now. Give them a good old stir. Now let's put the mushrooms in. Starting to look pretty good already. Those thyme sticks we will take out later. In goes the beef stock, a good quality beef stock if you have one. Bring that to a boil. And then I'm going to add some tomato paste mixed with water. That goes in there as well. So by now, all our vegetables and meat should be underneath the liquid. And it's ready to bring to a boil. Once it's brought to a boil, we're going to pop the lid on. We're going to simmer it for an hour on a low heat. I'm going to boil all of the diced potatoes. 2/3 of them are going to be removed after 6 minutes. The other third will be cooked completely and mashed and used as a thickening agent for the stew. I will explain why we are partially cooking our potatoes shortly. But for the time being, our stew has had round about an hour and it's looking really, really good indeed. I'm going to throw in half a cup of red wine now. Any red wine is perfectly fine. Now I'm going to put in our partially cooked potatoes. Now, if they'd gone in from the beginning, they'd go to nothing. If we put raw potatoes in with half an hour to go, they wouldn't cook in time. So partially cooked, another half an hour and the stew will be ready. I don't want a 2.5 to 3 hour stew. I just want this stew to be prepared and ready to eat after about 1 hour 45. Our Borlotti beans have gone in. You can use red kidney if you don't have them, or even chickpeas. Starting to look pretty damn good now. We're just going to give the stew a further 25 to 30 minutes now, but I'm going to take the thyme branches out because they're not that nice. It's not nice for the diner to see those in his dish. Not really too good to chew on neither. The bay leaves are quite big. They can be removed by the diner themselves. Okay, let's simmer it for a further 25-30 minutes and look at it. It looks fabulous. Absolutely beautiful. Looking like a real winter stew. It warms me up just to look at it. I'm going to throw in some salt and pepper, about a teaspoon of each. Don't forget all those measurements and volumes will be in the description below, as well as the size of our pan. And the only other thing to put in the stew now is our thickening agent, which is a couple of good tablespoons of mashed potato. And that's going to now cook for about another 8 to 10 minutes on a low heat, stirring all the time to make sure the mashed potatoes disintegrated, and your stew should become nice and thick. I'm not particularly gluten intolerant, but as I've mentioned before, using flour often takes away from the natural flavour of the meat and vegetables. So as you can see, our mashed potato is disintegrating into our bubbling hot pot of winter goodness. And that pretty much is the stew. It's been created in less than 2 hours, which is perfect because the long stews that take all day, they are for another day. But today I just wanted to create something that was just doable in less than 2 hours. And it's there, it's ready, it's looking fabulous. All those wonderful components in that we need. Of course, you can add dumplings. I have this with a very nice piece of crusty bread. If you've enjoyed the video today, may I ask you to share, like or subscribe? And to find out about my next video, please press the notification bell. If you want to engage at all, please leave a comment, that'd be brilliant. This is Chef Archie Pie, sending everyone lots of love. Do take care of yourselves, and I'm going to eat my stew.